Detroit used to be known as the Paris of the Midwest. The city shared architectural styles and urban planning design, but now there's a new connection, and it's centered in the world of fashion. It's actually a bit of a love affair. Bowell Hardwick is a local man who's right in the middle of it all. He is creative, he's cool, and he's connected, and he's about to take us backstage to the collections. This is where the Motor City meets the City of Lights.
Play with your hair, you can do this.
Boswell has worked in every realm of the fashion world, from doing hair and makeup to his time as fashion editor for Our magazine. Twice a year, the fashion world converges in their capitals, New York, London, Milan, and finally Paris, the grande dame of them all, where entree into a runway show is most exclusive. This is not something that the average person can get into. This is not something that a wealthy person can get into. You have to have credentials or be a massive celebrity. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's interesting, you know, people often ask me, how did you get a ticket? Where can I buy a ticket to go to the runway show? And you know, that's not at all how it works, John, and you're very right. You have to be a person of influence, you have to be a person in the media, you have to be a celebrity.
But then you have to worry about if your seat's good, right? So it's another hurdle of like emotion that you have to...
Well, for me, you know, if I'm in, I'm happy, I don't care where I'm at.
Boswell's credentials and connections get him in, and he's documented his whirlwind trip for us.
I'm in Paris for Spring/Summer 2015 Fashion Week. During Fashion Week, you know, everyone who's anyone is, you know, converging on this city that was built many, many years ago, and it wasn't designed for all this activity. The traffic is just remarkably bad. I think most of the people you see outside of a venue for a runway production are people that either are photographers, bloggers, people that shoot street fashion, people that are hopeful, that have no way to get in, but might be cute enough, might just have that certain moment where, and it does happen, I think it happens in Paris more than it does in New York, but most of the important people come at the last moment. So what happens is you have this throng of people outside, and then you have your Anna Wintour, your Ken Downing, your Tim Blanks coming through.
And celebrities galore.
And celebrities come at the last minute because they don't need to come early and mill about. They're busy, they're somewhere else, and the show is waiting for them. I know in the past I was at a show and they held the show for Cher because Cher was running a little bit late. So they held the show 10 minutes because they weren't going to start the show without Cher. So we go in, we get our seats, and everyone's chatting, and you know, that's just how it is, and everyone's there, and everyone who's anyone, and the show itself is funny. Each show was so different, you know. The lights were low, and then everyone had to sit down, and then the lights came on to such a point that they made me dizzy. They were so bright. They kept getting brighter and brighter and brighter. You could hear the lights like hissing, and then the music started and the girls started coming out, and that was it. You know, it's a show. The feeling is that while you're there, you just can't miss a moment, and we do have some remarkable opportunities. So I can sleep when I get home. That's sort of my attitude. My attitude is I'm going to do everything I can to gain access to every opportunity, every experience that's offered to me. We left the apartment at 2:30 in the morning to go out for the night. Now, I'm not a child, I'm not a young man, but you know, I'm in Paris. I go to the bar to get a glass of champagne, and I see Paris and Nikki Hilton behind the bar arguing. And I just thought, this is gonna be a really good party. And it was. Then I look to my left, and there's Justin Bieber, and he's with the Kardashian clan, and they're just to his immediate right is Karl Lagerfeld, and people are glamming on him, and there's Miranda Kerr in the corner dancing. That kind of fabulousness that's kind of hard to even believe. It's almost like a weird dream. And I feel like I'm just this kid from Detroit, and you know, here I am with all the most important people in the world. And I don't feel unworthy, I just feel really grateful, I guess.
Paris Fashion Week is a fantasy for most people, but more and more, the fashion world is interested in Boswell's hometown.
People just seem fascinated that I'm from Detroit. They seem happy that I'm from Detroit. They all have something good to say about it. It seems like it's a badge of honor in a way. And I've always been proud to be a Detroiter, but to be there and to be kind of celebrated for no apparent reason, just because I'm from a certain place, is kind of remarkable.
Michelle LeMay is the wife of Rick Owens, an exclusive but edgy designer known as the bad boy of the Parisian scene.
I think there is a fantastic spirit in the States for everybody to try to make this legendary city alive.
Barbara Mariani runs Rick Owens' Paris flagship store.
I am a former Detroiter. Well, I shouldn't say former, because when we're from Detroit, we always have Detroit in our heart. I grew up in Detroit, the suburbs of. Now live in Paris. I've been here for almost 30 years. And I work in fashion. It's so compelling. The streets are so compelling, the people are so compelling, the talent. And in fashion in particular, there are so many geniuses that came from Detroit or the suburbs of, and I won't start naming names, but it's often been a conversation that we have at dinner tables in Paris or in London, or in Los Angeles for that matter, thinking, what can we do for Detroit? And I'm talking about people like, you know, Courtney Love and Madonna and Mike Binder. There's so many creative people. I think the most defining thing about me in fashion in Paris is that I come from Detroit.
Sebastian Sauvé is one of the top 50 male models in the world, and originally from Royal Oak.
For a minute there, I thought it was going to be derelict city, like the new Atlantis, the city that was. But no, that's not the case at all, man. Detroit is back, so I'm seriously excited, and can't wait to go back myself and visit the place and party hardy Motown.
I think the fashion world in Paris is fascinated with Detroit's rebirth, Detroit's struggle, and of course they were fascinated with Detroit's beautiful urban decay, or ruin porn as they call it. But that's really kind of on the back burner now. I think that they are seeing, technology and industry here, and a lot of exciting things going on beyond our burnt out buildings.
World-renowned artist Dominique Renson has visited Detroit and plans to come back to make a film.
Every week I meet somebody that have been to Detroit. The lover of my boyfriend is from Detroit, and it's just like Detroit m'appelle. She called me.
8 days of runways, friends, parties, and of course work. The weird dream and wild ride of Paris Fashion Week wraps up.
I take a lot of vitamins when I'm there and wash them down with champagne.
Till next time, after all, the new collections are just around the corner. You can see more of Boswell's photography, a 12-page editorial, in the holiday edition of Ambassador magazine.